What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It's great to be here with you on another week. We have a very exciting show in store for all of you. First of all, Gaven owes a few apologies to a few players in the Phillies organization. We'll get to all of that. And then, of course, we have our good friend Ryan back on today, the Giants fan, the Yankees fan. He has some explaining to do. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with the mock draft. As always, joined alongside my co-host Gaven, Tony, some AC/DC rolling in the background today. It's been a couple of days since we've been here. I'm glad to be back. Very exciting show for us. First of all, Gaven, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great, Zach. Listen, I don't owe nobody a damn apology. And if I think who you're talking about, I sure as hell don't owe him an apology for doing his job, and I sure don't owe a team an apology, not one bit at all. But Zach, I'm doing splendid today. It's nice outside. It's a little hot in here, but all in all, it's a pretty good day. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just one player in mind that I had that we'll discuss here in just a brief minute. But yes, beautiful weather today. I can't stand the cold. I wore a sweatshirt this morning just because I don't trust the weather in Pennsylvania. But it was perfect weather today. We know where I was. I'm not even going to have to bother to entertain that fun day out on the golf course.
50 over, right?
Nah, I'm not that bad. I promise you. Maybe last summer we were starting the show. Maybe last summer we were starting out, but we moved down significantly and made some good progress.
Listen, sir. Be real, be honest, all right? Because I'll pull Ryan up on here, and he can tell the truth. He played with you today.
Not today. He didn't play with me, but he's played with me before. He had a chip in on fifth hole, I want to say. But we'll talk about all that another time. We'll get into more detail before we get to it. Bring in Ryan, talk about the mock draft. We'll start off today with a little bit of a recap of Philly sports. The Sixers snapping their 4-game losing streak with Ben Simmons' return the other night in in Philly against OKC. They are going to be playing here in just a few minutes against the Atlanta Hawks without Trae Young. Sixers are a full-strength lineup. I expect them to win tonight. Gaven, has this proved the importance of Ben Simmons to the Sixers team?
It has, Zach. As soon as Ben Simmons comes out, you can just see the agility in late game situations. I mean, no disrespect to Joel Embiid, but he doesn't have that late game that it factor because he's always tired. And when he is in the game late, he is efficient and he is scoring buckets. But we need someone that can open the floor, run the floor, Zach. When Ben Simmons is playing and is healthy, the Sixers offense looks dominant, especially on fast break scenarios, because Zach, he's always the guy leading the fast break. Nobody else is. And Joel Embiid's not that guy. Occasionally he'll get down the court and be able to lead a fast break or be part of the fast break, but he's never always going to be down there. So when you get a guy like Ben Simmons back who brings his fast break offense and brings another set of eyes and another person that you have to pay attention to if you're the opposing team, because Ben Simmons can drop 30 points if wanted to. I mean, Zach, we say and talked about it before. When Ben Simmons wants to be aggressive, he can be, and we've seen it against Utah. But I haven't saw that, Zach. Ben Simmons is really important. We saw it the other night when he came back. Whether it's a fast break, whether it's on defense, getting the clutch steals, he does the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet, and that's what holds the Sixers together. In order for them to keep the 1 seed or get back into 1 seed, because as today's like they're second, both of those guys have to stay healthy. But I want to pose a quick question to you. The Sixers, I was taking a look at it, and if the Sixers were the 2 seed going into the playoffs. The playoffs started today. The Sixers were the 2 seed. Their road would be the New York Knicks, surprisingly, which I think I do owe New York Knicks fans an apology. So I do lie. I actually do owe somebody an apology today. It would be the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat. Correct me if I'm wrong in that swing of things. So would you really want the first seed? Because if you get the first seed, you're going against Boston and Milwaukee will be part of that tirade.
Certainly, that's the question. I'm just pulling up the standings now. The Sixers would open up against the 7 seed, which at the moment is Miami, and then Gavin, correct, they would end up playing the I believe it would be the Knicks, possibly the Bucks, actually, depending on how that would work out for the lower seed. Of course, there's other teams in there, the Celtics, Hawks, that could end up taking away a win. Whatever the easier route is, I think the 1 seed usually does tend to give you that. I still think it's a cool concept to get the 1 seed, but 1 or 2 at this point, the Sixers need to prove their toughness in the playoffs.
Zach, if you look at the 1 seed, and it would be the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round, but the first round matchup would be Brooklyn versus, and this is without the play-in tournament, everybody. This is Brooklyn versus Charlotte, and then it would be Milwaukee versus the Celtics. So Zach, let's say the standings stay the same, but the Sixers and Brooklyn switch places. I'd rather go against the other half of the playoffs seeding than the route that it looks is going to be for the Brooklyn Nets right now. I mean, let's be realistic. The Sixers get knocked out in the same place every year. Last year was horrific, where they get swept by Boston in 4 games in the bubble. It's like some counted, some may not. I mean, a loss is a loss, and you didn't win a championship. If I'm the Sixers, second place isn't that bad after all, especially the standings stay as they are right now. Please.
Possibly easiest route, but I think for the Sixers at the end of the day, it's crucial that they're able to go out there and perform, and I think that's what's going to be most crucial. With that being said, Gavin, before we do get to Ryan, one more thing I need you to do. Rhys Hoskins. You've been very critical of my guy Rhys. Let's talk about Rhys Hoskins for a minute. Batting .253 this year, leads not the Phillies, and he does lead the Phillies. He leads the MLB in home runs.
What?
Home runs hit at 8. He has 99 in his career right now. Above average hitting. Just give him a little credit today before we move on to our next segment. I think Rhys Hoskins, who has not been asked to be the power hitter this year, he's been in the 2 spot. That is not the power spot. I think he deserves a little bit of credit.
Zach, do pigs fly?
They don't fly.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Going back to our food analogy, right? We expect PJs, because that's what we like to go eat at, ladies and gentlemen. We like 9 out of 10 times you catch us at a PJs. Either me and him together, or me with somebody else, and him with somebody else. We go to PJs expecting it to be great, right? When we brought up Rhys Hoskins, we didn't expect him to be, Mike Trout great, but we expect him to be something. So why should I be apologetic for something that he should have been doing? I mean, come on. I mean, it's not like they're winning games. Zach, they're not winning that many games. They lost yesterday, for crying out loud. And by the way, let's pump the brakes on Rhys Hoskins. This fool's goal at his finest. I'm pretty sure there's a guy in Atlanta that just crushed a 482-foot bomb yesterday in left field in Ronald Acuna Jr. And Mookie Betts and the crew in L.A., they're going to start hitting home runs pretty soon. So, Zach, let's pump the brakes. Now, if this was July and Rhys Hoskins is still leading the league in home runs, I will apologize. But as of right now, I'm still not sorry. And if you think I'm going to apologize, you better know I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm counting down the days, checking them off. I think you will be apologizing to Rhys Hoskins at some point this year. With that being said, coming up next, we have a very exciting segment breaking down the 2021 draft, the first 16 picks specifically. We have our friend Ryan, who's worked diligently on his mock draft. Gavin and myself also. We're going to discuss what these teams need. Try to limit it to a minute and a half each, but I'm sure we'll get some debate in there. It's going to be fun. Stay tuned.
We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode.
All right, first time in the show's history that we're going to be breaking down an NFL draft, the most exciting, anticipated, researched, and executed draft of all of the major sports, in my opinion. 7 rounds, 32 picks in each. I can't do the math for how many total that is. I know the mystery relevant, whatever number that is. I'm sure one of you will know it because the Giant actually this year who actually scored a touchdown, I want to say, or something along those lines, was a mystery relevant. I see Ryan nodding down there, so it looks like I got it correct. But I'm excited for it. Gavin, before we bring Ryan in, what are some of your thoughts going into this draft tomorrow?
Could have had 6. You could have had to pick between Jamar Chase, maybe Kyle Pitts, and Devontae Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night when the Dolphins pick 6, I just want everybody to just tweet at Howard Rosen and be like, this could have been us. We didn't have to watch the draft no more after this. Zach, this is going to be the first time, and I want to say the last 3 years that the Eagles are be picking early. Well, supposedly early.
The first hour and a half that we picked.
Exactly. Zach, having saw that real quick before we bring our guests on, I just want to say something about the last segment that we had. He's tied with home runs. Why should I be celebrating that? He's tied with 8.
That's a lot. That's a good. That's a good start for him, Gavin. I know you have not a Rhys Hoskins shirt on, but we're going to buy you one in July when you apologize.
I do not. And no, I'm not apologizing. I would
You
never.
will, trust me. You will trust me. But we are going to be bringing in our good friend of the show, Ryan. We've had him on once before. We are excited to break this down with him. Ryan, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great.
Listen, Ryan. Before we get into the mock draft, I have one question for you. First of all, what's wrong with your Yankees, man? Real quick, give me a quick answer. What's wrong with your Yankees? I mean, 5-10 to start the series. I mean, Garrett Cole looking like he's hot garbage. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton swinging at straight air. I mean, come on, man. What's wrong with your Yankees?
I got no response, really. I haven't even been paying attention to the Major League Baseball. I've just been paying attention to the NFL draft.
Fair enough.
Good reasons. Yeah, that's why you're here for sure. We're excited to get into it. Let's talk about it. It's common that the first 3-4 picks tend to be set in stone. There are some years where the first overall pick is unknown. Think Kyler Murray a few years ago, a couple of other drafts. But the first two this year are pretty close to solidified. We'll start with 1 and 2 respectively. Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Jets, both teams disasters of organizations last year, both looking to change their cultures. We all know where that starts. It starts with a quarterback. I have Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson respectively going 1 and 2 to the Jags and the Jets. And I'm curious to hear the thoughts from both of you. Do you both have the same, or does anyone have anything different?
Yeah, I have Trevor Lawrence going number 1, and I have Zach Wilson going number 2. Trevor Lawrence is easily the number 1 overall pick. He has won national championships as a true freshman. He was the number 1 overall pick. Really, he was like the designated number 1 overall pick coming out of high school. He's easily the best player in the draft. I think that Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer can turn the franchise around. Now that it's 17 games instead of 16, I would not be surprised if Trevor Lawrence and his crew win 7 games this year.
Well, the 1 and 2 picks are pretty much a lock, Zach, and we came on the championship or the day that it was how they could possibly be a number 1 for Justin Fields. So I can't disagree with Trevor Lawrence. The dude is an all-out stud, has a national championship to his belt. He's been pretty much of a winner. The one thing I am worried about is a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback coming into the league. It kind of worries me. I mean, Zach, this is a team that was ranked in almost last in offensive yards, and you're in the AFC South where we know the stats of Sean Watson. We don't know what the Indianapolis Colts are going to bring to the table, but I expect it's going to be great. And when you look at the Tennessee Titans, we all know what Derrick Henry brings. And finally, Zach, the Jets are ranked last in offense. It's going to be the same thing with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. You just got to wait and see. But Zach Wilson, I like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think Wilson, I haven't watched a lot of film on him, but he's gotten good marks. He's impressed people, and it seems like the Jets are ready to take him at 2. They have a lot of culture changes to do. It's going to be an interesting one to watch for them, but let's get to the next one, a team that was just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. San Francisco 49ers, a team that without Jimmy Garoppolo in the last 3 years is well below 500, yet they're ready to move on from him. Inside sources that I've spoken with believe that Garoppolo will be gone from San Fran on Sunday. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan have had their notable quotables this week. That organization is very quickly looking like the Eagles last year when they were fumbling over their words for drafting Jalen Hurts. Number 3, there's a couple of quarterbacks in mind, Trey Lance, Matt Jones, Justin Fields. It's hard to not see, in my opinion, Justin Fields going there. He is the most developed talent so far. His arm has work to do. If they want to work him behind Garoppolo for a year, he's great. I don't know that the other two are ready to be plugged in at the professional level. Trey Lance is 21 years old. He's had 2 starting seasons, 20 years old, even younger. Wow. I think we were talking the other day in sports that came have a beer on the day he's drafted. But him and Mac Jones as well. I am not anti-Mac Jones, but I'm not a fan of him trading up at 3rd overall. If you're trading up for a quarterback, I think they were trading up for Justin Fields. They ruled him out, apparently. I don't believe that. I do have Justin Fields going at 3rd overall to the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
I have Trey Lance. Going number 3. I've seen many mock drafts saying that Trey Lance is the pick. I've also seen many mock drafts that Mac Jones is the pick. If Trey Lance or Mac Jones, whoever the pick is, the other one is either going to go to the Patriots or Washington or the Chicago Bears, I think. I think Trey Lance, he went a whole season without throwing an interception. Now, granted, he plays in a conference that nobody even knows about. He come from the same college as Carson Wentz, and I'm interested to see how he's going to do with the Colts. I think he's going to be balling next year. but I think Trey Lance is the pick.
I mean, let's be realistic real quick, ladies and gentlemen. And Zach, I'm with you on this. It's Justin Fields, and here's why. The dude is an absolute stud, all right? In 2018, he 27 completions, 39 attempts, 4 touchdowns, and I think that was when he was with Georgia, right? The little time he played there. Next year, he goes to Ohio State, 238 completions out of 354 attempts. He's completed 67.2% of his passes, 3,000 yards, and 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The next year, in a COVID season, 158 completions out of 225 attempts, completed 70% of his passes, 2,000 passing yards, 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, give and take in a COVID season, Zach. Now let's look at Mac Jones, because I mean, come on now, let's be realistic. Mac Jones is playing with a whole bunch of 5 stars, and 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I get it, Mac Jones. When you come from Alabama, but remember, you have Jalen Waddle, you had Smith, and
he had Ruggs last year and Judy,
and you have Ruggs last year. So
Henry
what the heck does Mac Jones really bring to the table? And Zach, you know how I feel about standing statues. They're not the future in the NFL. And Trey Lance, ladies and gentlemen, you played one game, one meaningless game. And by the way, you played against a team called Youngstown State. Justin Fields is the obvious third pick here. Come on.
And Mac Jones also had Najee Harris as his running back too.
Yes, that's true. A name that we will see later in the draft, but we will move on now to the 4th overall pick, and this is one Gaven has an interesting take on. I've seen a lot of mock drafts with this. Kyle Pitts, I think, is a pretty fair answer. Does it fix Atlanta's problems? No, they're pretty bad defensively, but you also can't ignore Kyle Pitts, especially if Julio Jones is on the move. I think this is not necessarily a great replacement, but a good safety blanket for Matt Ryan. He's a beast, and they still have Calvin Ridley as well, but the defense needs work. However, you can't pass up on talent like Kyle Pitts here.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is a generational talent, they're saying. I saw Kyle Pitts actually like bench 540 pounds or something, and it was like he was like just warming up. He wasn't even breaking a sweat. He was bench pressing or squatting actually 540. It was actually deadlift. Take that back. But yeah, Kyle Pitts can add a deep threat. He could add a deep threat. You can't draft a quarterback here because Matt Ryan has 2 more years on his contract, and you can't trade him, cut him because of the salary cap. So he's going to be here for another year at least. So give him another weapon to throw to.
I'm sick and tired of seeing this guy in Atlanta. I have Trey Lance going 4th. Trey Lance going 4th to Atlanta. Zach and Ryan, here's why. No disrespect to Matt Ryan, but ever since the Super Bowl year, he hasn't, really done much. I mean, they go to the Super Bowl, what was that, in 2016, 2020, the year before, and they go 11-5. Next year, they go 10-6, and 7-9, 7-8, and then 4-12. Matt Ryan's at the helm for majority of those games. Not doing much. This year, he had 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. And Zach, question. I get the defense is horrible, and your coach can call a defensive play to save his life. But at what point do you have to look at this team and say you have to rebuild? I would hit the restart button with Trey Lance because this quarterback, this draft class is juiced with quarterbacks, and you're in the top 5, so you're guaranteed at least one of the 5. I would take it. Holding on Julio Jones, maybe move him to Baltimore so you can get one of their first round picks because they're looking for a wide receiver. You do something. You gotta get younger, and you have to you have to hit the switch sooner or later. Trey Lance is my 4th guy here.
Certainly, we'll have to see how that rolls out. With that being said, we'll cut it down to the 5th overall pick. Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase is my pick here. He is not who they need. He is what they want. I'm a big fan of the tackle out of Oregon. I think, Ryan, you may have him on there for your pick. And yes, I'm still in trouble pronouncing the last name, so I'm not even going to attempt it until I hand it off to you. But great tackle. They need him. The weapons there are good enough, in my opinion, but they're going to go Jamar Chase. I think it's a good fit for Joe Burrow, but it's not the pick that's going to make them a playoff team this year.
Yeah, Penei Sewell is my choice on the offensive tackle from Oregon. it doesn't matter who you have as your wide receivers. You could have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Devontae Adams all on the same team, and Joe Burrows as your quarterback. And if he is injured, like his O line his O line ruined his rookie season because they were just unable to guard him. And Penei Sewell, I don't think allowed a quarterback pressure the whole season in 2019. Now he opted out because of the coronavirus in 2020, but I still think you have to protect your quarterback.
Ryan, me are on the same page when it comes to Penei Sewell. Listen, if Joe Burrow is not staying upright, it doesn't matter who is going to be catching the ball because he's not going to be getting it. Nobody's going to be getting the ball if Joe Burrow's on the ground. You got to protect Joe Burrow. We say the same thing about Tua Tagovailoa. We say the same thing about Justin Herbert. You have to protect these guys at some point. Penei Sewell is going to be that guy. You can play him at left tackle or guard, hybrid either way. And you got to build a lineup like they did for Tony Romo in Dallas.
Yeah, certainly. We'll see what happens. I think that's the best pick for them. However, my gut feeling is that you do go Jamar Chase, reunite the LSU teammates, and we'll see if they can make some magic like they did when they were at LSU. Number 6, Miami Dolphins. I've got Sewell. That's how you pronounce it, right? Is that right?
Yep.
I have Sewell going there. They have some O-line trouble. They got to protect Tua. Jalen Waddle's on the board. Devontae Smith is on the board. But I think that in this part, they value, similar to some other organizations like the Colts, they're going to start valuing their O-line quite a lot. I think that's going to be their pick at 6.
I think it's going to be Jamar Chase. I think Sewell's going to be off the board by then. Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the draft class. He opted out. It's probably for coronavirus reasons in 2020. But Jamar Chase is the pick for Miami. Tua needs weapons. They got Will Fuller from the Texans in free agency. I think if you surround Tua, he's going to be a really good quarterback.
I don't disagree with you, Ryan, about getting weapons, but I do disagree about who the person is. I got Kyle Pitts going there. Look, a generational wide receiver / tight end in this draft, arguably the best player in this draft outside of the quarterback position. I don't know what else to tell you guys. I mean, Kyle Pitts and outside of Tua Tagovailoa and Devontae Parker with Will Fuller, that's just a match made in heaven right there. I mean, you couldn't ask anything better for Tua, and you get another guy that could help you in the run game and run block as well. So I got Kyle Pitts at going 6. Should have been Eagles pick, but I got him at 6 going to Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I think with Mike Gesicki there, it's a hard argument to make, but he's a very talented tight end. That brings us to number 7. And for me, this one was one I had to think about. They lost a lot of offensive talent this year. But I'm going to go with Micah Parsons out of Penn State. I know it's early. We all know. We've all watched Penn State. We know he's a very talented linebacker, opted out this year. But the Detroit Lions, their new head coach with the energy he's got, biting the kneecaps off, whatever crazy stuff he says, seems to be valuing defense first. Micah Parsons seems like the pick for them. They might trade back if they plan on sticking around to get him. As of right now, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle still on the board in my mock draft, but at this time, I don't see them going with a wide receiver on offense. I think they go defense and take Micah Parsons.
Yeah, this pains me to say it, but I have Jalen Waddle going to the Lions. I want Jalen Waddle on my team, the Giants, because that'd be just fire. But you lost Marvin Jones. He's going to play with Jacksonville. You lost Kenny Golladay. He's actually on my team now, the Giants. We signed him for 4 years. You have really nobody else to throw to for Jared Goff. You have to give him a weapon to throw to and see what it does. I mean, I saw something while watching a YouTube video. Jalen Waddle's average touchdown reception was 44.5 yards. So he's a big play fanatic.
Big play fanatic, but remember, those are a bunch of college players that you're going against. These are grown men. And Zach, I have them going with Devontae Smith. Now, Jamar Chase might be the best wide receiver in this draft, but let's be realistic. Devontae Smith is the hottest wide receiver coming out of the draft. I mean, if you don't get hurt in the national championship, you're going to break even more of the records. The reason why we were talking about Mac Jones in the first place. And also, too, Devontae Smith is a great route runner. You do need someone to throw, dig off to throw the ball to. You lose Kenny Galladay, you lose um, Marvin Jones. So I think Devontae Smith is the best choice there for the Lions.
Zach, could I say something real quick?
Good. Yep.
Yeah, I saw a video just before on ESPN, and they were breaking down like the sports science of Devontae Smith. He's 166 pounds. That's what he weighed in on his pro day. His hands are 9 3/8 inches, which is bigger than Jimmy Butler. His hands are 9 inches, and his wingspan is like 6'6". So his wingspan is big. His hands are huge. He doesn't weigh a lot. If he puts on 15 pounds, he could be like Devontae Adams.
He certainly could. So pretty good route runner, and that brings us to number 8. This is one that I had some time looking at. They traded for Sam Darnold. I don't think they're going to get a quarterback this year. I think they're a team that's ready to really move on now instead of trying to just go ahead with a new quarterback and try to teach a new system. I think they're committed to Darnold for now. They did just trade away Teddy Bridgewater earlier today. They reaffirmed their commitment in him. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith, second wide receiver off the board in my draft. Again, I like his talent a lot. I think they like the fit there. Waddle and him are a toss-up, but you can't deny Smith's talent. I think that he'll be picked number 8 by the Carolina Panthers.
I actually am going to make Mr. Weichert's day, and I'm going to say Justin Fields is going to play in Carolina. I've seen many mock drafts that have Justin Fields going to 8. He could easily go at 3. If he slips, I think Carolina takes him, or they take a corner because they need another corner to play with Jeremy Chin. They could take Surtain or Caleb Farley. Well, actually, Caleb Farley's dropping in boards because he had back surgery. So I think Fields is the pick. Can't go wrong with Justin.
Am I insane, Zach, for what I'm about to say? And someone clip this and send this to Mr. Wecker because he's not going to be happy with what I'm about to say. I have a trade, all right? The Panthers trade down to our beloved Birds, Zach. Our beloved Birds. They're going to move up at 8, and this is what's going to happen. They're going to swap picks. They're 8 and 12, and they're going to give them a third rounder for the 8th pick. And I had them going out to select Jamar Chase. Now, when I was making my mock draft, was I in my feelings when I was making this because I was going down the list? I might have been just a little bit. I could be upset when I'm saying this. But remember, the Panthers were interested in moving down. They were in talks just as the Lions and just as the Falcons, and the Falcons are still holding auditions for that pick. But I believe that with this move of Sam Darnold staying put, I don't think they're going to really want to risk taking a cornerback early in this draft, and I don't see them overreaching in the person I had them picking. So I have our good buddy Howard Roseman, and you better do this. I have him moving up, picking Jamar Chase at 8 if he's still there, and if not, it will be best available, which will be Devontae Smith or whoever. But Zach, Jamar Chase at 8, and we move up. I like that.
Quite possibly. So when we get to 12, Gavin, you'll give us your projection for the Panthers pick. But that brings us down to number 9, Denver Broncos. I'm going with – it's a tough one for me between the corners, between the two of them. But J.C. Horn just had an insane resume. He's played really well. South Carolina, you go up against all these really good SEC schools. Stephon Gilmore also went to South Carolina. I'm going to go J.C. Horn. They need to really build up on that defensive side. I know there's problems on offense, but the skill position to where it needs to be. The quarterback's the issue. And on the defensive side of the ball, they'll take care of it. They'll get themselves their lockdown corner that they need.
I have Micah Parsons going to play in the Denver Broncos. Micah Parsons is fast. He's smart. Now, he does have some character issues that I did see and hear about, but I think if he's still on the board, I think they snag him. He could easily go inside the top 8. But I think Micah Parsons is the pick here. They need help on defense, and they need to stop Justin Herbert and Mahomes. And I think Micah Parsons can help with the middle of the field.
So when I originally made my mock draft, which was yesterday, steady Teddy Bridgewater was not traded to the Broncos. So I'll just put that out there as a disclaimer. I had Mac Jones going 9 to Denver. No quarterback there to trust. You throw him behind Cortland Sutton and a whole bunch of the young crew with KJ Hamler, and you build that offense up with Jerry Jeudy and the crew, and you start building offensive line and you get nice little pieces around there. But that was before the Teddy Bridgewater trade, so I'm gonna leave that like that.
Certainly, we'll have to see how it rolls out. Broncos, interesting team. The question all teams in the AFC West have to ask: are we trying to slow down Mahomes or just catch up with them on the offense? And that's going to be a question. Broncos last year on offense didn't work out. Maybe they should go defense. And now we get to it, the NFC East for the next 3 straight picks. For Gavin, of course, had it at the 8. Dallas Cowboys. This is an interesting one for me, but I think that Patrick Surtain is going to be the best pick for them. They just took Trayvon Diggs in the first round last year. They need another corner. That defense needs help badly. You can't miss on 2 in a row. And Diggs is not a bad corner, but he's not a cornerback 1. I think Surtain is arguably the best corner in the draft. I think he's interchangeable with J.C. Horn. That's who I have going to Dallas.
I also have Surtain going to the Dallas Cowboys. If I remember correctly, with like 3 or 4 games to go, if the Dallas Cowboys averaged like 28 points allowed, they would have allowed 500 points. Overall, their defense was horrible last season. They need a shutdown corner on one side. Their offense is rock star. It's really good. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Prescott will be back. Elliott, if he holds on to the ball, he's really good.
Oh, I know.
But I think Surtain is easily the move.
The year I picked Zeke in fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen, this year is Zeke Elliott can't move for
back-to-back years for Gavin, first round picks or not.
Antonio Brown and Zeke Elliott. But Zach, Patrick Surtain, listen, Jerry Jones will talk about trying to get Kyle Pitts. As much as I would love to see that, just so they can't stop nobody because you got the best offense, but defense wins championships, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get Surtain. Build your secondary up. As much as I hate saying that, Surtain is arguably the best corner in the draft, maybe between him, Farley and Horn. But I like Surtain the most. You from Alabama, and Zach and Ryan. Finally, Surtain I view him as a Marshawn Lattimore when he came out of college. He's going to be a shutdown guy. Now, as an Eagles fan, you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Surtain can shut down your number one, maybe at best, and him and Diggs can be the 1-2 punch that they need, and that doesn't help or fix the 30,000 other problems with that defense, but it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely an interesting one, and now we will get to the New York Giants. This is one that I've really looked at this, and the O-line is not where it needs to be yet. The D-line is not where it needs to be yet. The secondary has a lot of really nice young pieces. You have the safety out of Alabama last year, Bradbury, who had a statistically insane second half of the year. It wasn't offensive explosion. It was more defensive consistency and game management that won games at the end of the year. This was a tough pick for me. I apologize if I butcher his name out of Michigan. It is, I think, Kwity Paye out of Michigan, the edge rusher. I think that they really need to pair someone up with Dexter Lawrence. I know he hasn't really fanned out to what they need so far. A couple of young guys on the pass rushing side. Joe Judge, more of a special teams coach in his time in New England, but he really likes to have a philosophy of the defensive side of the ball. That's where I think their focus is this year, especially with Saquon coming back healthy. Weapons are not an issue on the offense, in my opinion. Of course, getting rid of Golden Tate makes you scratch your head and say, okay, Jalen Waddle is right there available, at least in my mock draft. But I do think that they do value defense a little bit more here.
Yeah, I have seen many mock drafts where we either take a wide receiver or Kwity Paye. I have Devontae, the Heisman winner, coming to New York, which is wonderful. You got Kenny Galladay, you got Kyle Rudolph, you got some Heisman in there, you got Saquon, and Danny's be throwing dimes all over. But yeah, I think if he's here, if Waddle or Devontae is here, I'd snag him because they're like game changers. Dave Gettleman has said you can never have too many of one position. I wouldn't be surprised if we take a pass rusher. I don't really care who it is. I'd take J.C. Horn. I'd take a corner. Just give me someone that I know and someone that can help the team out and get us over that 50% win 50% win rate.
Well, Ryan, I got breaking news for you. That's not happening. That last thing you just said is not happening. But I do have them selecting Jalen Waddle. Look, your dream's gonna come true.
Attaboy.
They're gonna select Jalen Waddle, but it's not gonna work. Because last time I checked, Zach, that offensive line is still horrible. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up offensive tackle Slater out of Northwestern, but Jalen Waddle seems like the fit here. That's what Giants fans are preaching and singing about. Ryan, every day you mention Jalen Waddle in class, so Jalen Waddle's gonna be their guy. But they need offensive line.
Yeah, I hear that the Giants GM is loving Devontae Smith, so I'll take either one of those Alabama wide receivers. Waddle does also play on the special teams, so he can be the punt returner as well. And he did return a 77-yard punt against LSU when Joe Burrow was at the LSU Tigers, and that was cool.
For sure, yes, a lot to break down there as we continue with the NFC East. However, before we get to the Philadelphia Eagles draft picks, we do have a game break as the Sixers are on now. We're going to give some live reports and updates as that game is in the second quarter. Thank you to all of those who are continuing to stick around and watch us here as the 76ers are underway. Current score 40-17. 76ers currently in the lead in this one. Joel Embiid and Seth Curry leading the way with a combined 18 points between the two of them. Ben Simmons, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals to start this game off. On the Atlanta side, nothing too notable from the scoring side. Right now, Clint Capella leads the team with just 3 points for himself. John Collins also has 6. A good start for the 76ers. 11 minutes and 5 seconds left in that quarter. Thank you for continuing to watch us. We appreciate it. With that being said, we'll pull back in Gavin and Ryan as we continue to talk about the mock draft here in 2021. And we're going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, or in Gavin's case, the Carolina Panthers. I do have the Philadelphia Eagles going with Jalen Waddle at 12. I think it's a really good fit for them if he's able to be there. If he's not, I don't know who else you're really going to look at. At that point, you might want to trade back even more. I think it was a mistake to trade from 6 to 12 if you're looking to win this year. Otherwise, I trade back and collect more assets. Ryan, who do you have the Eagles going with at 12?
Well, you have to stop Devontae since he's on my team now. So I'd take a corner, J.C. Horn. He's an animal. He's a beast. He's always around the football. I like the kid. He's really good. He's always he could step in the middle of throws. Now I wouldn't mind him on my team, but that's who I have the Eagles taking.
Zach, I got the Carolina Panthers in that trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had them selecting Michael Parsons. Listen, when the Carolina Panthers were relevant and were winning games and going to the playoffs, their 2 strongest points on defense was their linebacking core with Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. So why not get back to what you were good at or which was winning you games? Now you have Shaq Thompson. You go and get you a guy that's more versed, and Michael Parsons who can run sideline to sideline and build that defense back up to where I want to say where you're known for the best, which is linebackers.
Combine an MVP caliber quarterback in Cam Newton and a damn good defense, and it gets you just short of winning Super Bowl 50. That was a good team. That's the message they're trying to send. They're trying to become good again, and the Panthers have a good culture. They're trying to get guys to fit in there. We'll see how it goes. I do like Parsons there at 12 to the Panthers. Otherwise, I do like Waddle or honestly Horn. I'd take all 3 of them to the Eagles as well. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. Coming up at 13, we do have just 4 more picks here before we wrap up today. Los Angeles Chargers, they need protection for Justin Herbert. I have them going with Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. Between first and second, between him and some of the other guys as far as the top offensive tackles and guards in the draft, but that's who I'm going to go with for the Chargers, give Justin Herbert some protection.
Yeah, I have Rashawn Slater also. Going to the Chargers. They signed Corey Linsley from the Packers, who is Aaron Rodgers' best friend. He's the center. Their offensive line was really bad last year, but Justin Herbert is really good, so it made up for it. You need to protect Justin Herbert because you got Frank Clark and Chris Jones at the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Yannick Ngakoue on the Raiders, and you've got Von Miller, and I have Micah Parsons on the Denver Broncos. So you got to guard Justin Herbert, give him a little more time, and this could easily be the best offensive tackle in this draft class.
I'm in agreement with all of you. Rashawn Slater seems like the excellent pick here. Your offensive line is bad. You emphasize that. You got Corey Linsley. You have to keep building up. Why not solidify your tackle and your center position and keep building around Justin Herbert? He has a great offense. It's going to get better, and Derwin James and that defense is going to be back next year healthy. Wasn't too happy about the firing Anthony Lynn, but hey, what do I know?
Yeah, certainly, definitely a controversial firing there. I mean, it's going to be a tough call this year. Did they make the right choice or not? They have the Bills' former offensive coordinator, right, as their head coach.
It could. I thought it was the Rams. I think.
Was it the Rams? I don't even remember, but I'll take a look at that confirmation. But yes, this is going to definitely be an interesting pick here because they can go a lot of ways. They have a lot of holes that they need to fill. But I'm excited to see what happens. I like what's going on in Los Angeles. We'll see if they can become a relevant team in that area. Of course, the Rams taking most of the attention there. Next up, we do have the Minnesota Vikings. This one was a toss-up for me, but I do have Vera Tucker, the guard out of USC. The defense has been struggling, but I don't see anyone game-changing in this position, at least, that would be worth the 14th overall pick. Get some more protection up front, help Dalvin Cook out, help a few other guys out. Give some more time because there are some good weapons. I don't think they're going to win anything with Kirk Cousins, but they're not moving away from him because they extended him last year, so otherwise it would go quarterback here. However, they're obviously not going to.
Yeah, I have Elijah Vera Tucker as well. All I know is they need inside offensive line help, and Vera Tucker is the best one on the board. He's the only one that's actually not an offensive tackle, if I remember correctly. So give Kirk Cousins about 2 more seconds to throw to Justin Jefferson and the other one, Thielen. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you with the offensive lineman pick, but I see him going defense. J.C. Horn comes to mind for me. Listen, Patrick Peterson, I get they signed Patrick Peterson, but he's getting up there in age. I'm not a firm believer anymore in Patrick Peterson and his ability to do things. So J.C. Horn seems like a perfect fit here, and pair him up alongside Patrick Peterson and slowly transition Patrick Peterson out and build up that secondary. Zach and Ryan, they had one of the best secondaries in the league a couple years ago with Sendejo and Harrison Smith leading the charge and Xavier Rhodes, and now they're winning.
And current Eagle Anthony Harris.
Well, listen, Zach, I'm not gonna call him the Eagle yet until I see him do something.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see how that goes. I forgot that they signed him. Some of the irrelevance, but now the big eyeball, the big question mark. New England Patriots. Who will they take here? I'm going to say it, Mac Jones. I don't know what more developing he can do. He's a mature, older quarterback. He's had a lot of talent around him. If anyone can get a standing statue to be productive in the NFL, it's Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels. I'll take Mac Jones at 15. I like him going to New England.
I have Mac Jones also going to New England. You got Cam Newton at quarterback. If you don't think Cam's the guy after 4, 5, 6 games, you put Mac Jones in. He's got 400 weapons around him. He's got Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. The Patriots are, I wouldn't say they're back, but they're very close to becoming the Patriots of old without Tom Brady. They basically signed everybody they were able to. They signed Nelson Aguilar, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. You actually could take a running back here. I don't think you would, but there's a possibility, a very slim chance, but James White and Rex Burkhead are not going to be game changers. And who knows, they may surprise everybody and take Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. I don't think it will happen, but always a possibility.
I like Mac Jones to the Patriots, but at the same time, I could also see these two things. Najee Harris, I'm not ruling it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up falling to there. Or how about we throw this in a scenario? How about they trade down and they go and they get some picks and maybe trade with Baltimore and have Baltimore move up to get a tackle because they just traded away Orlando Brown? That could certainly happen. We don't know what Bill Belichick's going to do. All I know is that dog's right beside him, and he's going to feed him a treat. They're going to make a pick that's going to help them in the near future and probably reign terror. But I would say this, Zach. You don't go out and spend money like they did. I think they spent the most money on any team in free agency. You don't go out and spend that type of money and plan on drafting a rookie quarterback to lead the charge. You just, I don't see that happening. And you don't do it to trade up.
Well, Miami did that last year. I would have said Dolphins did that.
The Dolphins, that is correct. The Dolphins should do that. But when you're a guy like Bill Belichick who has a lot of respect, I don't see him moving up to get Mac Jones. I see him honestly trading back into the late first round and getting one of those, like the Stanford quarterback Davis Mills or somebody. I just don't see Mac Jones being. I mean, Mac Jones could be the pick, but I wouldn't be surprised. This is Bill Belichick, so they can go 1,000 ways. We won't know.
I mean, you've got a division with, everybody assumes it's going to be Zach Wilson to the Jets. Now, Robert Saleh may surprise everybody and take Fields. There's always a chance of that. But you've got Josh Allen. You have Zach Wilson / Justin Fields to the Jets. And Miami has Tua. So you never know. Tua and Mac Jones battling it out in the division. I think
former Alabama quarterback starting if you include Jalen Hurts in that conversation. But certainly interesting. We are going to round it off, cutting it right in half at 16. The 16th overall pick belongs to the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, this is an interesting one for me. I don't know what you really need. Running back, I can see. 16 is a little early for it. I can see them trading back and getting a guy like Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. But I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. Utility guy, can play almost anywhere on the line. Kyler Murray needs a little more protection. He's been running around a little bit too much for his life. Not really any wide receivers worth taking at that point, but that's who I'm going to go with to wrap up my first half of the first round.
I have actually Virginia Tech offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw. He's also a stud. I did see a mock draft that has Jalen Waddle falling to number 16 and them taking Jalen Waddle. If they take Jalen Waddle, Kyler Murray will have Jalen Waddle, AJ Green from the Bengals, DeAndre Hopkins, and Larry Fitzgerald. Now, they did sign James Conner from the Steelers. I don't think and James Conner is, I think he's just above average. I mean, the Steelers' run game was horrible last year. It was like 90 yards a game. It was the last in the league. So they could always take a running back here. If one of the Alabama wide receivers slips, I think they would take him. But you got to protect Kyler Murray because I think he was injured in the playoff game, or it was the last game of the season to get into the playoffs. So give him like 2 more seconds in the pocket and he'll be balling.
The offensive tackle of Virginia Tech wouldn't be a bad idea. I see Najee Harris being selected here. I like Kenya Drake, but I don't think he's the it factor. You're talking about a guy, Najee Harris, who could catch passes out of the backfield. And, I mean, I get it's against college and these are grown men, but could you imagine Kyler Murray and Najee Harris out of the backfield with the wide receiving core that they have? I get the offensive line is trash, but if you can get the ball out quick, I mean, we've seen it work with Carson Wentz last year, not the previous year, but the year before that, Zach. I like Najee Harris at 16. And if not, then I had to go to offensive tackle Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Najee Harris could be equated to like Derrick Henry or something. He's like 6'3", and he's like 6'2" and 230, and Derrick Henry's close to that too. He's also really fast, and he's also really hard to get to the ground. So I wouldn't be surprised if Najee Harris is the pick here. As Gavin said, James Conner and Kenyon Drake are not the long-term factors. Both are getting a little older. Najee Harris is like 23 or 22, and he's also able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He had like 5 touchdowns or 5 or 6 touchdowns total in the SEC championship game against Florida. So he's a beast.
And real quick, Zach, before we wrap it up, I just want to say this. We saw James Conner last year when I was on my Steelers tirade and rant about how bad they were. We saw James Conner repeatedly get stopped behind the line and at the line. and his notable game was, I want to say, versus Baltimore early in the year, and you could arguably say versus Tennessee, but nothing much after that. And Kenyon Drake is a nice name, but there was no production out of it. Najee Harris would be a perfect selection there.
They might trade down in that case, but look, it's interesting. Of course, 17-32 is a toss-up because those teams really can't predict who the other ones are going to take. But we had a chance here today on the Northern Philly Sports Network to break down the top 16 picks. With that being said, Philadelphia Phillies' first pitch was underway less than 10 minutes ago. 76ers still lead in their game. Of course, we're obligated to talk about the New York Yankees, some of the other New York teams, since we do have a New York fan here. With that being said, we hope you all did enjoy it today. We are going to figure out some other days this week to break down some of it. Of course, Friday, our live reactions to the draft itself. Maybe do a live show tomorrow night with a live stream. Everybody keep an eye out for that. Gavin or Ryan, anything else you wanted to say before we go?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Please, Giants, take Jalen Waddle or Devontae, or I'll take Parsons too. But I want another wide receiver.
Final thoughts there from Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us today. We appreciate it. Gavin, anything else you wanted to say?
Julius Randle, I'm sorry. I apologize, Julius Randle. I don't apologize to the owner, but I apologize to Julius Randle and anyone else in the New York Knicks fan base that I offended, because you know why? Wait, I'm not sorry. Listen, the New York
the Knicks are good. The Knicks are
good. I gotta calm
They're
down.
what, 10 games above 500? They're on a 9 or 10 game winning streak.
Zach, I would say this. There's something about basketball that when the New York Knicks are actually good, basketball has a different feel to it. Because New York's two best teams or New York's two teams are actually relevant.
They could be playing each other in the playoffs. It'd be a good matchup, in my opinion.
And if that could happen, that's not going to happen in the first round, which I would love to see. But you never know. Julius Randle, I owe you an apology. And here it is, $21 million. You were worth it right now, at least.
They could attract a superstar. I don't know who's in free agency, but they're 1 star away, in my opinion, from being a really good team. They're 6 games above 500. They're doing really well. They're the 4 seed. They're better than Boston, Miami, Charlotte, Indiana, Chicago, Washington, Toronto. List goes on for the Knicks. Gavin is deeply sorry to New York, except for the owner, but we're not going to talk about that in too much. With that being said, though, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. We hope you all enjoyed today's pre-draft show. We'll continue to provide some awesome content here for the back end of the week. We appreciate you all for sticking around. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, you can like us there, turn your notifications on, as well as on YouTube. Gavin, anything else before we do wrap it up?
Not really. Everybody have a good night, and thank you for all the love and support. We're almost 5 subscribers away on YouTube from 100 subscribers.
Almost there.
That's crazy thinking. We started this in June, and sitting here in April of 2021, we're almost 100 already. So I can't thank you guys more than enough. And Zach, we're going to argue about something. I sent you about super teams, and we're going to have an argue about that tomorrow.
Yeah, your guy Kevin Durant loves making them.
No, your guy LeBron James is the original founder.
We'll talk about it. Stay tuned. Special report coming up: the origin of super teams. How Michael Jordan started a trend that became in modern day.
Cut the show because now he's speaking blasphemy.
Thank you, everybody. If you enjoy a little bit of that segment, we'll be back tomorrow. We're here all week, as the comedians like to say. Thanks again. Have a great night, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Where is your respect for the GOAT? Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts